Welcome in to the Gaming Discourse. I'm Tyler Frater alongside Rich Day the Cruz.
Hello.
And Chief Engineer Lieutenant Commander Connor Frater.
Good evening.
It is Monday, July 28th, 2025. Go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/thegamingdiscourse, patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. You can support us for $247, $10. Get your name in the video credits, early access to our videos, access to our Discord server, and more. I am currently working on the final draft of the Splinter Cell Blacklist retrospective. I got to work on that today. If things go well, maybe up this weekend, maybe Friday, Saturday. Chances are...
That's a promise.
If it goes up, it's going to go for our patrons first. So chances are it's probably early next week that it goes up, and then definitely public by next weekend. So that's, I think, is probably the best timetable to give right now. And then there's other stuff that we're working on, other things that are coming down the pipe. So yeah, follow us on Patreon. You get updates on all that stuff every Friday. Okay, so a lot has happened. We're gonna do an update on the different delistings at Steam and now at itch.io. But we just watched the Battlefield 6 trailer, and I'm a grumpy old man. So I don't know. Sometimes when I watch game trailers that are like, I don't know, geared at the normies, I guess. I'm just like, why do you have to make trailers like this? Like, it's just so...
Sure.
So, I don't know the Bob Dylan song that was in the trailer. I'll say that.
Masters of War by Bob Dylan.
Okay. Is it an anti-war song?
100%.
So, isn't it, at this point, for like 20 years, we have been doing this thing in trailers where we take a song and then we make it, like, darker for the trailer. And it always sounds bad. Yeah. And so that to the side. On top of that, it's an anti-war song from a musician who was famous for anti-war songs. Yeah. Right? Chain coming down, like it's just nothing. He was never like, but Battlefield 6 kicks ass. Like it's not like
ahead of his time, really.
yeah. He was like, I always play an engineer. Like, no, Bob Dylan wasn't. He wasn't singing about how badass it was when we were dropping bombs in places or something. But I don't know. It's like it's Battlefield, and I talked to you guys about like Bad Company, and I think one of the reasons Bad Company was so fun was because it's just like, all right. It's just silly, You don't have to have this giant pretense, this giant pretext for anything. And you can have all the action and all the explosions and just make it fun. You don't have to worry about having soldiers scream at each other because they have to make some tough decision. And it's just none of that. Man, none of that matters. Can you just make it fun? And please stop taking songs and doing remixes of them, especially when they are anti-war songs. And I don't know the lyrics. Unless Bob Dylan has a million anti-war songs and one song where he was like, war kicks ass, then
I got a solution. Let's call up Bruce Springsteen.
Does he?
Sorry.
Let's call up Green Day, circa 2004.
So he's like in the song Masters of War, he's singing to, the politicians, the war hawks, everyone like that. And one of the lyrics is, I hope you die. So it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Nice. I
remember during the dumb parade that President Saddam Hussein had, a couple months ago. They literally played Fortunate Son, which is just like
very on the nose.
But I think they knew that they did it. I think whoever played it knew that they were playing Fortunate Son, because to play that and not know what it's about, the only explanation I know of is that you are literally brain dead.
Whoever is working there, I'm sure they don't want to be there, which is like kind of like this. It's like what's a worse thing to be that's somewhere that you don't want to be. But yeah, I'm sure they I'm gonna take a jab at this person and then
sure. But I'm sorry, did you guys have thoughts on the Battlefield 6 trailer?
And
let me say this, I hope it's good. I can't wait for Battlefield 6. I hope it wins Game of the Year. But it's just, can we stop with these obnoxious trailers? Can we just, I don't know, Ghost of Yode, like the trailer for Ghost of Yode was so good.
Yeah.
Some game trailers are cool when you can just make a good trailer. The trailer for GTA 6, really good. And then Battlefield They just don't know how to make fucking trailers, and it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. Okay, so that's my old man. That's my Cloud. Am I wrong?
No, I don't think you're wrong. I know, stylization and trying to make it look cool and everything, but the soldiers going through the building and then the helicopter crashes into it and there's like a full-on battle happening outside, but they were like high-speed, low drag sneaking through the building.
There's in that universe, helicopters are weapons that are just dropped from airplanes. And pilots, they're just kamikaze pilots. They don't actually. They're like, we forgot how to use the rotors, so we just steer this thing into buildings. It's like they've completely forgotten and actually fly, except for the one like Apache that's flying down the road,
which is also incredibly stupid
because it's like. Okay, so the beginning of the trailer is very much reminiscent of the trailer for Civil War, which is famous, right? Because you had Nick Offerman, who was the president, my fellow Americans, and you're like, oh man, is the president good guy, bad guy? President's always the bad guy, but it's like you didn't know, right? So this trailer,
that's not true. Bill Pullman, Independence Day, good guy.
He was a good guy. You're right, yeah. So this trailer starts off the same way, right? President, my fellow Americans. So it's like, okay, so they're just poaching from a movie. And then you have that, which my mind goes straight to the worst movie ever made, Roland Emmerich's Godzilla. the single worst movie ever made. when the Apache helicopters are flying through downtown Manhattan and like turning on a dime like they're in Tokyo Drift or something. Like they're going for it every scene. So it's like as soon as I see that, my head goes to Godzilla, And then the Bob Dylan song kicks in. And it's just like, Battlefield has a cool song, like play the Battlefield song, do a different version of it. Like, I don't know. It's just so weird that you have to resort to just these dumb things. It's just, man, no Halo trailer started off with like a Beyonce song because Halo has its own music. You just do that. Anyway, okay, I'm sorry. I apologize. I don't. But, and again, I hope Battlefield 6 does well. The development has been horrible. We read about it. There's technically a story on it. There's some.
They're gonna have 1 billion players daily.
Yeah, there's some EA executive who is smoking cigars and fell asleep on his yacht for a couple months right after he, drunkenly called Andrew Wilson and was like, "We gotta have 100 million players daily," and then he just fell asleep right there. So that's the number that we're staying at. Anyway, I'm sorry. That was just an unplanned rant.
No, that's fine. I just wish I knew how to fix Battlefield.
So, but okay,
back to basics.
I hate to be like, I don't know. I hate to be like,
no, go ahead, be pretentious.
Backyard quarterback guy.
Yeah,
but
be an armchair general.
I don't know, just Battlefield Bad Company 3.
That's it. Well, no, I would have to agree.
And it doesn't mean maybe it's not funny.
That's also a thing. Like not to say like violence, guns, and war is funny, but there's been very positive responses to the Bad Company series in general, the first and second one, and it's never been the same since then. Like Battlefield 3 was, at least I feel and I remember at the time, like a big deal, considering its like graphical fidelity, like its realism.
And that was one of the first games that had like parkour that I can remember.
Right.
You would run and hop over a fence or something.
And it's like, depending on how bad they are now, like the quick time events that you had in like the story mode and whatnot, but it kind of just, I don't want to say became a parody of itself, but much like Call of Duty is right now, when you look at Warzone and you look at like all the skins and all the like, it's this weird Ouroboros that's eating itself. Battlefield went the other way, and it's like we have to make this as realistic as possible. And then they tried to not do realism with 2042, and it's like, well, let's add like storms and like global warming and stuff, and that was like weird because it kind of screws up with the flow of like playing a game. More than like
Levolution does.
Yeah, like. And I would prefer Levolution. I would prefer Destruction. Awesome. And, sure, they showed some in the trailer, but it makes me roll my eyes because it's like, am I really going to be able to blow up a dam and the water's going to flood the level? Like, am I really going to be able to do that? Because if so, I would like to see it, and that would be cool. But I know it's not.
Yeah.
Because those crazy tornadoes in 2042 didn't do shit. Like why would I go out there when that's happening? I'll just stay at the base and wait for it to blow over.
Something like that, yeah.
You know,
yeah.
So
and
there's lots of issues to tackle, and it sucks to not be excited about Battlefield, because I do prefer Battlefield over Call of Duty. I always have.
I always thought Battlefield was better than Call of Duty.
Yes.
Because it has that squad team based, and the other thing was if you if you grabbed a car and you went all the way around a map, you could change a game because you captured an objective that was away from where a lot of the fighting was taking place.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same concept as Squad. It's just Squad's more realistic and it's slower, but Battlefield lended itself to a different type of gameplay. It wasn't always quick twitch, moment to moment, Call of Duty style.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember growing up, I always I guess I wasn't ever a console warrior, but maybe the closest thing was I was Battlefield's better than COD.
Yeah.
I was one of those kids, but I think it's correct. I always thought it was better just because the vehicles, the dynamics, the classes, spawning on your spawning on your squad leader, stuff like that. I think it all made it better, but yeah, I hope it's good.
Yeah.
I hope Battlefield 6 is good. And yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, no more Battlefield 6 talk. Connor.
No.
What? Okay, Richard.
Trucking along some Cyberpunk. I started Phantom Liberty. It has a lot of promise. As a DLC, I'm interested in the story because it's a ridiculous story. Not that Cyberpunk wasn't ridiculous in the first place, but Night City and V himself, once again, harking on this, take itself seriously, in some ways, as a story. And Phantom Liberty is just you know what? Let's just make something silly and fun. And Phantom Liberty is if you don't mind spoiling the premise, is you get contacted by a netrunner and they're yeah, hey, I'm the president's netrunner. I know how to fix your little guy up there. And it's well, I'll tell you what, we're crashing into Night City right now. You're going to need to save the president. And it's oh, okay. President. Yeah. So it's just I'm doing the start of it. It's just kind of all right, cool,
right off the bat.
That's
fun.
Let's just it's just fun. Let's have fun. And not that Cyberpunk isn't fun already nowadays, but it's a little bit of it's the ridiculous that I think it needs, because the ridiculous in Night City and Cyberpunk already is ironic in some ways. No, not ironic.
I think so.
Yeah, ironic in some ways. This is just all right, let's just have fun to have fun. Let's just do it. So I'm about to meet Idris Elba's character.
Oh, cool.
So that's where I'm at. And it's good fun. It's good fun so far.
Idris Elba's not the president, is he?
No.
Okay.
He's a sleeper agent.
Okay,
so.
Awesome. Cool. Alrighty.
Yeah. It's
so it's literally Escape from New York, but you're already in New York.
Yeah.
So it's Escape from LA.
Well, you're in LA. Yeah, you're in LA. Yeah. So pretty much. But yeah, it's really good. It's fun so far. I'm excited to see where it goes.
So I did have something. Forgot.
Yes.
Been playing the show, road to the show, playing a pitcher.
Okay.
All right. I went 8 innings, no hits, 17 strikeouts.
Jesus.
And they took me out of the 9th inning.
Wow, really?
Yep. We were up 2-0, took me out of the 9th.
The guy comes in, gives up a jack.
A 3-run shot. And I got the loss.
Oh, really? What?
I don't know how, but I got the loss.
That's not even how. What, you threw for 8 innings?
Yes.
And no one was on base?
No, I had 4 hits. No hits, because I was about to throw a no-hitter.
Yeah.
And they took me out of that's why I was
how did you get the loss then?
I don't know.
Isn't the win statistic...
The show's just probably a bad game.
But isn't the win statistic, if you pitch, 6 innings, or is it I don't remember how the win statistic works, but I always knew that the win statistic was, controversial and useless.
Yeah.
It's a similar argument people make for RBIs nowadays, but...
pitcher wins don't matter because there's a whole other half of the game.
Yeah, sure.
Mm-hmm.
But, that really sucks. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well... 3-run jack and
in my no-hitter bid, they take me out of the 9th.
Nice. Well, I'm sorry.
I was in shock when I saw the relieving pitcher coming up to the mound. What the fuck? That's not gas in the tank.
Did you role play the press conference afterward?
No, it ended and I just went to
in front of your shower mirror. Like role playing. Sorry.
The game ended. I went back to the menu. I saved and turned off the PlayStation.
Yeah.
Nice. That's the appropriate. On the flip side, I won my 4th straight national championship at Central Michigan. Thank you.
You get tired of winning?
No, I don't. Never. No, it was actually pretty cool because I went undefeated with the Natty 3 straight years, and then I began my season playing Oregon. And in my dynasty, so coaches in College Football 25, you can get, if you play dynasty mode, you can get perks and you can level up your coach and stuff like that. And there's a couple different archetypes. There's like the motivator archetype where your players get more XP. There's the recruiter where it's easier to recruit. Well, the coach of Oregon, I think he's like maxed out recruiting, and he gets every year Oregon's recruiting class is just ridiculous. Like I think I showed you the other day, like Oregon for a previous year got like recruited like 8 or 9 5-star guys, and the next highest was like 4. It's ridiculous. So anyway, so Oregon is consistently stacked with the best talent in the game. So they're always highly ranked. But Oregon and I, because we both go deep into the playoffs so many times, we've developed sort of a rivalry in Dynasty mode because we're always facing each other. So I've scheduled regular season games and gone to Autzen Stadium. And in real life, Autzen Stadium in Oregon is one of the toughest places to play. It's one of the loudest places. But I went in there and like barely won. Anyway, I've faced them in the playoffs, and I still have the replay of this, of winning the game in double overtime, which I'm very proud of, even though it's just against the AI, but I don't give a shit. I'm proud of it. So this previous year, I started the season against Oregon, and they came to Central Michigan. It was bad. I threw like 2 interceptions. My defense was great, but they won. So it was the first game I had lost in like 3 seasons. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna really, really play this. Go the entire season. Oregon doesn't lose a game, or they lose once, but they don't lose again. I don't lose a game. We meet in the national championship. Perfect. And I beat them in the national championship. So I bookend the season with a win against Oregon, which is awesome. But in any case, so yeah, I've been playing Castlevania, Symphony of the Night. I've been on semi-vacation the past 2 weeks, so I've been playing a ton of stuff. I finished Dread Delusion, amazing. I finished Split Fiction, very good. It reminds me a lot of like Astrobot, how they introduce a bunch of mechanics. The mechanics are like deep enough that you learn and you can play with them, but you don't stay with them very long when you move on to something else. The story is really good. It's very relatable. I really enjoyed the writing. It's such a crowd pleaser. And also Hazelight has a really specific sense of humor. I don't know, like they can be morbid and dark, but also sincere and like childlike. I just get this feeling that Hazelight, I don't know, it's hard to describe. Like, you know, there are certain game studios that have like a really specific, like Rockstar or CD Projekt Red, how like their writing has like really specific.
Sorry to be like general, like sorry to generalize, but it's like very European.
Maybe.
Yeah.
I would say so.
They're a Swedish studio. So,
yeah. Okay.
So maybe, yeah.
Because I mean, like, yeah, when I think of like comedy, like everything you said, like, I mean, it all goes together. Like I'll watch a Wallace and Gromit, and it's like all of that stuff is like all in one, you know,
but
Python and all that. So.
And I also finished Expedition 33, which I did not like the ending of Expedition 33.
So you've said.
Yeah, I don't know. The more I thought about it, the more I was just the big.
Twitter's gonna hear about you. Okay.
I thought it was a fun game, but I went back and I watched some of the footage, and stuff that happens at the end kind of recontextualizes things that happened previously in the game, and it brings up like questions that it never addresses, and maybe that's for a sequel, I don't know. But to me, it's just like it made me less interested, the ending. So and we can have that discussion once you finish it. But after finishing that, Expedition 33 and Split Fiction, I think Split Fiction right now is my game of the year. I think it's my favorite game so far. It's very good. And everybody needs to play it. But other than that, yeah, I started Castlevania Symphony of the Night. So Symphony of the Night, in your mind, so I know it's your favorite Castlevania, but do you think it's the best Castlevania?
It's a good question. The general, sorry, I'm gonna divert that question.
Go for it. Man.
The general fandom will tell you it is. I do think it is, but I think there's a game or two after it that kind of follows the same structure, but just kind of tightens it up a little bit.
Oh, okay. Which one?
Which would be Aria of Sorrow and, to a lesser extent, Dawn of Sorrow on the GBA and DS.
Oh, okay, interesting.
So yeah, it follows because after Symphony of the Night, every game follows the same formula. Some do it better than others, but Aria of Sorrow. If it isn't Symphony of the Night, it's Aria of Sorrow right after it.
Okay.
Like as far as the best.
I got the pack that includes 2, Symphony of the Night, and I think it might
Rondo
be
of Blood.
Rondo of Blood. Yeah. What do you think of Rondo?
So Rondo of Blood is the prequel to Symphony of the Night.
Okay.
But it's also one of those. It's a classic Vania, what we call it. So it's stage based, left to right.
Gotcha.
Well, just right, but there's the story in it is basic. It's oh my god, you're gonna make me rant.
No, it's fine.
It's an argument that the fandom has with the Castlevania show. So the Castlevania games, the classic Castlevania games, are like, here are the Belmonts. They're tasked with destroying Dracula when he comes out every now and again. There's almost nothing else in between. There are things in between, of course, but the show basically takes the skeleton of Castlevania 3, just is like, well, we'll just add stuff in the middle. And I'm cool with it because there's nothing else there.
Yeah.
But fandoms take it seriously and like, that's not how this person should be based off other games that only give you snippets of things. So anyways, Rondo of Blood has a very basic story. Richter Belmont from the beginning, who Maria is looking for, is the Belmont to defeat Dracula. Dracula is taking several maidens from the village and trapping them because Shaft is going to use there's a priest named Shaft, funny, who is going to use them as a sacrifice to bring Dracula back.
Oh, okay, cool.
So you just have to, but it's kind of, it's slowly, that game slowly goes into Metroidvania territory because it is stage based, but in certain parts of the stage, and you wouldn't know, honestly, unless you either made a mistake back in the day if you played it, unless you made a mistake or followed a guide, you wouldn't know that like, oh, the third pit that normally would kill me, if I fall down there, I'm just going to happen into like a secret area that will let me find one of the maidens and open it up with a key and whatnot.
Oh, interesting.
So,
okay.
So it kind of like has like this half step before it becomes a Metroidvania. But yes.
So the copy of Symphony of the Night that I got in the bundle, I think, so it has voice acting.
Yes.
But the voice acting was not in the original Castlevania or Symphony of the Night, was it?
It was. Yeah.
It
so
was.
that,
okay.
Oh my gosh.
I thought I had read that was like a version later on where
Yes.
it got added to it.
Yes, you are correct. This pack that you have is a repackage of the PSP version of called the Dracula X Chronicles, where they basically redid Rondo of Blood in 3D, which you also have on there. It also includes the original, and then it has Symphony of the Night, but they re-recorded all the voice lines with new voice actors. It's, your mileage may vary depending on if you like it or not, because as much as the fans make fun of the original dub of Symphony of the Night, it's still beloved.
It's still the original dub of Symphony of the Night, yeah.
And so I never had an issue with it, because the thing is, it's one of those instances of Japan trying to emulate like old English style of speaking. So the lines come off like, I don't know how she says it. Do you remember how Maria says it when Alucard shows up and she asks what he's doing there?
Yes, but I don't remember her sounding campy or cheesy.
So she says, I don't know, I can't remember, but in the original in Symphony of the Night, she says, "What do you hear?" Like,
oh really?
Yeah, like that's how she says that line, and it's awkward, but it's because like the way it's delivered and the way like the writing is kind of like, what? Oh, that's weird.
Gotcha. It's a little like that old screenshot of all the American baseball names that
yeah
Tug McDuggan or whatever stuff like that.
So that re-release like kind of tries to fix all of that, which I don't hate or I don't have an affinity towards, but I'm not gonna. The same point gets across.
Sure. So. Well, I really enjoyed so far. It's interesting because I was thinking I didn't know if I should follow a guide or go at it blind, and you recommended to go at it blind. So that's what I've been doing, and I think I appreciate you telling me that, because once I got like past a certain, especially when there are things that I just have to remember about Symphony of the Night. Like one is you can destroy projectiles when they're fired at you. So there's like an enemy that throws an axe down below and throws one up top. Well, first few times I fought those guys, they killed the shit out of me so many times because I was like trying to dodge and you have to get near. And then eventually I was like, wait, I can just kneel down and just cut away at the axe. As soon as I figured that out, those enemies weren't that big of a deal. There was also like the thing with Alucard, his dash, not a dash, his like backward jump ability.
Dash, yeah.
So games since the beginning of time have taught me if you dash, you face in the direction that you dash. But Alucard dashes backward. Now I think it makes sense because it wants you to be able to attack, dash, move forward, attack, and dash again. I guess so. It's just a different way of doing it. But like my mind goes to Super Smash Bros. Like if I'm gonna dash left, I press left. If I dash right, I go right. Whatever. But it's just that process of repetition and ingraining it into my head so that while I'm actually playing, instead of turning around to dash and then dashing straight into a bad guy, I actually like remember to dash with my back facing away from the bad guy, my face facing the bad guy. And then once I get that down, it's like, okay, now I'm much better at the game. So like I've gotten better at like some of the combat that way. I also think it's interesting how, I don't know if it does this all the time or if it's just this one enemy, but there is this enemy that is like a giant lizard scorpion thing, and it has a girl as a tail, a woman.
Yeah.
Well, this enemy is sort of deceptive because you see it and it's got this giant mouth, and you're like, oh, okay, so I have to stay away from this thing. When in reality, you run up to it and you just smack the shit out of its mouth, and it tries to get away because it uses ranged attacks, but you're underneath its gun or its tail. So it's like, it kind of tricks you. There's this big enemy and you're like, oh, I got to stay away from this thing. And then once you learn, oh, you can just walk up to it and punch him in the snout a bunch of times. Oh, then it's super easy after that.
Yeah.
So I like that it does that it like the plant enemies. You can't attack their stems. You only attack their heads. So it's like, it gives you an enemy and you kind of, instead of just smacking them, you kind of have to learn a little tiny thing about them. And then after that, you're good to go. And you kind of learn how to fight them. So I really appreciate that. I really like that. The art looks really cool. The soundtrack is phenomenal. I was telling Hazel, because my wife, because she was watching me play, when Animal Well came out, the developer of Animal Well talked about how pixel art sort of has a character of its own, right? And I don't know if any other form of art, maybe, I don't know, maybe like photography, I really don't know, where certain old things age as well as they do in video games, right? Because Alucard's animations and just his art and the animation and art behind the enemies, it's so awesome. It looks so cool and it works today. Like yes, it's old, but it's still great to look at. It's still enjoyable to see everything move. And so it's like, I don't know, it just, playing Symphony of the Night kept bringing that quote into my head, how like pixel art and old styles of art still have a character and still have a style that is not just an old style, but it's a style that lends the game something that, you know, something like Naughty Dog doesn't necessarily have because all their games are photorealistic or whatever. So I'm going to keep playing it. I don't know how far I'll get to it. I just discovered the library. I did not get to the librarian, but I know where the library is.
Yeah.
And I'm slowly, going through the map and discovering different things and learning how to fight different enemies. And that's a Metroidvania.
Yeah.
It is right there.
Yeah.
So, Oh, man. And like, I love that Symphony of the Night. I don't know if all Castlevanias do this, but like Symphony of the Night takes from, I was playing earlier today. There was Baroque music all of a sudden. Then there's like classical statues. And then those enemies, the scorpion enemies, like that's out of Greek mythology.
Yes.
So they take from mythology and they take from like classical music. And there's all these different little sources of inspiration that you see that I think is really cool.
One of my big favorite things, because it's just like when you think of vampires, like it goes hand in hand with like Christianity, because crosses are their thing. Of course, one of your sub weapons is crosses, but the castle itself represents like everything, because you'll have like You'll find like you'll run into Beelzebub, and then you'll run into like Abaddon, which is or no, like you'll run into like Abaddon and Adramelech and Pazuzu and like all these different types of mythologies and stories, and it's just really cool to see all of them kind of like they're all buddies.
All I can think about when I hear the name Pazuzu is that scene in the second Exorcist movie or whatever. I am Pazuzu, and she's got the bugs on her. I've never seen it. I just know the scene.
You'll find my favorite because I don't know if you have it yet, but you get it very early on, but it tells you what the enemies' names are when you like kill them.
Oh, you can see their health bar or whatever.
Like on the bottom right, like when you kill them, it should tell you like who you killed.
I'll have to look. Okay, I'll have to look.
Anyways, my two favorite enemies, keep an eye out. They're bosses, but my two favorite enemies are Beelzebub and Legion. They're my two favorite enemies.
Okay, cool.
And you've seen Legion before in the show. So.
I will keep an eye out then. All right, let's head to the news. Thanks for listening. If you like our content, please consider subscribing or leaving a like and comment. You can find us at patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse. And our tiers are $2, $4, $7, and $10 and include getting your name in the video credits, early access, and access to our Discord server.
Can you guess which can opening this was from? Episode 47 or episode 163?
Okay, so let's get into the update on these game delistings. So last week we talked about the group Collective Shout that pressured credit card processing companies to pressure Steam into removing certain games from Steam storefront. Well, a quick update here. Itch.io has delisted all adult, not safe for work content from browse and search pages. They use the term Deindexed. So I'm not sure if it's necessary. I don't. Deindexed, does that mean it's removed entirely from the service, or do they have something on the back end where it's still?
Because so what I think happened, because I've seen this coming up in conversations about this, is that the games are still available on the website. It's just you need to
search for them.
You can't search for it on the website. You have to search for it through a browser to get to the website.
Okay. I've heard different things, and I've heard I don't know. It's been a very confusing situation.
Again, this is all just things I've been reading, so I can't.
Yeah. So itch.io just announced it on a blog post, and according to it, they came under scrutiny from payment processors regarding the nature of some of the content. Then just today, itch.io released a set of new rules for games to be uploaded. I'm gonna go through. There's content warning. There's some stuff I'm gonna name off that may make you uncomfortable here. But the stuff that is among the stuff that is barred from itch.io is non-consensual content, real or implied, underage or barely legal themes, incest or pseudo-incest content, bestiality or animal-related, rape, coercion, or force-related, sex trafficking implications, revenge porn, voyeur, and hidden cam, and then fetish involving bodily waste or extreme harm. So it's a little vague. Because they say we are unable to support the sale of any works containing these topics. I think they already, I don't know what their policy was beforehand, but if you go to their policy now, it specifically says, like for rape, it says glorifying, right? Which is different than containing. But a lot of this, and this dropped without much warning. And if you go to the forums, there are people that are on the forums trying to have conversations and figure stuff out. So we talked about this last week, and we already talked about sort of the implications of, okay, so, what is offensive to who? And we can have the whole free speech conversation. But the other thing was the group Collective Shout, which I had never heard of before. And last week, when we talked about them, I mentioned that there was a story by, I forget who wrote it. I think her last name was Vela for Vice, who made a quick connection between them and like an anti-trans Twitter account, right? And since then, there's been more people that have uncovered weird connections that this group has with. It's all just very strange, and I don't know what to make of the group. I don't know if they are like hidden conservatives that are trying to come off as like liberal feminists or something. I really don't know. I will say though that another thing that happened was when Itch removed the rest of when Itch announced that they were removing all these games, Collective Shout posted its own statement almost defensively saying, hey, we didn't tell them to do this. This is what we wanted them to do, which I thought was strange. And a lot of the games that were removed included games with like queer themes and stuff like that. So I don't know, if I am a feminist organization or I'm an organization that is about like defending a certain group of people and I do an action that harms another group of people, you would think I would say, hey, we didn't want that to happen. We support LGBTQ people. But they didn't say that, which just came across as strange. And I'm trying to give people the benefit of the doubt here, but it also came across a bit of a red flag. Like, I don't know, especially if you know anything about itch.io and like the queer scene that is there, right? Yeah. Like you would think that if you were sensitive to that kind of thing, you would make it a part of your statement, right? So it's either that they don't know, which I don't know, I feel like doesn't look great, or they do know, which is even worse, because then it's like, why aren't they saying anything about that? So, yeah. Do you guys have any thoughts off the top of your head about any of this before I say some more stuff?
I don't know. We talked about it a little bit after the podcast because I couldn't get my like thoughts quite right, and I still like can't because it crosses into territory of like well, I mean just freedoms in general, but obviously there are lines don't want to cross, but it's unfortunate that itch.io, you mentioned the queer and the LGBTQ plus community, like it is like when you visit itch.io, they have a lot of great experiences on there, but you can tell that it is a community full of acceptance and just a community of acceptance, and it's just really, really unfortunate that they have. Well, it's convenient that they have become the target of this. And just the other conversation that's like really big is just, why are you telling me what to do with my money? You want my money, right? Like at least to the payment processors like Visa and whatnot.
Sure, yeah. Which I think, to be clear, they don't give a shit about any of this. Like, they're mercenaries. They're there to process payments. Right? Yes. Now, and so I think that's part of the problem is that we have systems like this where we can pressure. Like there are pieces of like the structure of our society and our global economy that you can put pressure on to hurt groups of vulnerable groups of people, and the sources that you are pressuring are they're not apolitical because nothing is, but I guess if you're a payment processor and you're allowing something like this to happen, then you are taking a side, which is we'd rather just continue being in business than anything else. And that's a problem. That's a systemic problem that I'm not going to ever be able to solve. I wanted to share a few thoughts because I think there are like a lot of different things that are true here, and I've tried to organize my thoughts.
Didn't Connor
I was going to say go ahead because I was going to try to collect my thoughts.
So I do think it's important to point out that Valve's moderation, where we're talking about Steam, Valve's moderation has never been perfect. And I can bring up games right now on Steam that are like ridiculously racist and stuff like that. And now at the same time, Valve's moderation has also not been inept and completely dumb either. I think they have a specific way of doing things that I don't always agree with, but I think I feel like for the most part, they've done more good than bad. Some people may disagree with me on that, but that's kind of where I land. Obviously games glamorizing things like rape, obviously that shouldn't exist. I think that's a no starter. Like when it comes to Collective Shout, I definitely think it's true that some people have gone so far as to call them a hate group and transphobic. And if you want to make that jump, you can. I'm uncomfortable labeling somebody that unless I see hard evidence. But what I will say is that they definitely come across disorganized and kind of disingenuous, and that's not great. Like one of the complaints they made about was with Detroit Become Human,
yeah.
right? And they said it showcases child abuse, but of course in the game the whole point of the child abuse scene is that it's a father, and you're not empathizing with the father, you're empathizing with the child.
Right.
It is a scene that it depicts child abuse. It does not glorify or prop up child abuse. And I think we'd all say that's fine for a piece of art. We can talk about whether or not that does a good job of doing that, but that's a different discussion of whether or not it should exist in totality. But if you're going to point at it and just say this thing is this, therefore remove it, then I just feel like you're completely decontextualizing it, and that's not a good faith way to have arguments or make change in the world. So I think that's that. The other thing is, like, do games affect how people treat other people in real life? I think that's another thing that people have brought up a lot. And I think mostly no. I do think there's a conversation to be had about how media in general changes our perception of things, right? Or, you can bring up any sort of trope from any film studies book ever, right? There are tons of movies made where black people are portrayed as criminals or something like that, and that over time in a society ingrains itself subconsciously into and it doesn't necessarily turn people into frothing at the mouth racists, but it is a problem, right? Or like, how many movies portray gay people as like sexually flirtatious or not, or not careful or something like that, right? It's like, again, it's a trope that is a problem that has been ingrained by movies and not just movies, but media in general. So there's that conversation. Now, the other conversation is, if I play Grand Theft Auto, will I blow up the highway? It's like, okay, well, no, that's not going to happen. So, and again, to have that conversation is complicated. It has to do with media criticism, media literacy, right? It has to do with all this stuff. But when, like Collective Shout, you will it down to this thing is in game, therefore game bad. That's bad faith. At worst, that's illiterate, that media illiteracy. At best, I guess. At worst, it's disingenuous because you have some other motive behind you that is anti-trans or anti-LGBTQ or something like that, right? Or you've got, I don't know, Christian conservatives backing you up or something like that, which has been one of the. So yeah, I hope I'm not sounding too squishy on this, because I definitely feel like this has been an overcorrection, and I don't know if I'm not sure if Itch handled it correctly. And I don't know if Valve handled it correctly, but Valve, that's how they do things. They're going to make a decision. They're going to be as hands-off as they can, and they're kind of going to roll with it. But it's funny. I had forgotten this, but last time something like this happened 1,000 years ago in 2018, it wasn't until afterwards that Valve allowed adult games on its storefront, which I thought was interesting. So yeah, but also, another thought I've had, I don't know, I don't run a feminist organization, but I just feel like, I don't know, is trying to take Detroit Become Human or GTA 5 or, I don't know, any game from a storefront, is censorship really the answer to systemic problems? I don't know. I don't know if I just don't think so. But I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong there. Yeah. Anyway, sorry. Do you guys, Connor, have you?
No, we can move on. This is a dense.
Yeah.
There's multiple layers to this. We can go into the pitfalls of trying to force your view of censorship,
right,
and how that never works, because once you censor one thing, it just opens the floodgates for everything to be censored.
And that's the other thing that kind of worries me about this is, and like,
because they're pulling from the Kotaku article, it was primarily a anti-porn campaign that Collective Shout was pushing.
Yeah.
And a game got de-indexed on itch.io that is about eating disorder because it had the adult tag because of its sensitive topic. And it got the same treatment that the games that Collective Shout wanted to have takedown.
Ostensibly.
It got the same treatment because they just had to do a blanket move, at least in the short term, to cover themselves.
Yeah. And so there's unintended consequences there. There's unintended harm there, right? Which is why I don't know if I agree with, like, if you want to make positive impact on things, if this is the way to do it. And especially now that, you know, with the way that, like, the world works, the way 4chan works, when 4chan is 4chan still around? No, it was shut down.
No, it came back.
Okay. In any case, it's like something like this can now be used by bad actors to force other things, right? You know, there was a famous movement that used badgering people with badgering the advertisers of certain websites to get things taken down. So yeah, you know, I will say, just to cap off the discussion, because I'm trying to be, like, measured and trying, I don't know, to be well-rounded here. If I had to stay in a camp, I would say that this does seem like an overcorrection. Collective Shout, I don't know. I'm all about, like, you know, let's have a conversation about feminism and objectifying women and stuff like that. That's great. Like, yeah, that's you know, that's real criticism there. But this doesn't seem like a good way to do it. And I don't know if I trust them.
Instead of treating the symptoms, look for the root cause.
And and it just their proximity to, like, anti-trans stuff just makes me worried. And they're just not putting a sentence that says, hey, we didn't want LGBT, like, no kind of support for LGBTQ people. That makes me worried.
Well, because there's a certain letter in there that they don't like.
Well, that, you know, and I don't, okay, well, that's the thing, right? This comes off very turfy, and maybe I'm wrong, but that's what it came off as. That's what a lot of this has come off as. And I don't want to be, because that sounds like a very, like, Joe Rogan response. Not that Joe Rogan knows what TERFs are, but anyway. But yeah, I think I would share in that suspicion, right? It's the kind of person that changes LGBTQ to queer a bunch of times or something like that, right? It's like there's a trying to remove the letter without sounding the alarm that you're removing the letter. Sure, yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. Are we good to move on then?
Sure.
Outer Worlds 2 is getting a price cut announced in a statement posted to Twitter, written in character, which I wasn't a huge fan of. In an email to Kotaku, Microsoft said that no game, including Black Ops 7, will be more than $70 going into the holiday. I don't know if they included 2026 into that discussion. Into that, I think it was just this year. So yeah, I am curious about why. Off the top of my head, the Switch 2 is doing really good right now.
It's doing very good. Very, very good.
I know Matty Ice has contextualized it, Matt Piscatella, and said that the way he contextualized it is like Switch 2 is doing good right now, but let's say you want to sell 200 Switch 2s, right? And 50 people are going to buy the Switch 2, Mario Kart World, and a controller right off the bat, no matter what. Even if it costs $2,000, they're going to do that, right? So as soon as it goes on sale, those 50 people buy instantly. Well, that looks great, because in that moment, you made 50 sales. But what the real test is in 2 months, 3 months, how long does this go on for?
Yeah.
Because if this is just an initial, everybody who is going to drop everything for the Switch 2 buys the Switch 2, and then it plummets, that's a different sales story, right? So the point I'm making is I don't think, like, Mario, I know there was pushback with Mario Kart World being $80, but I did not perceive it as something that that was hurting the game. So I don't know why. If you're going to say the pushback may be a reason for this, I don't know. Like, why would Microsoft make that connection? You know what I'm saying?
I think a cynical take we could take is the announcement that, hey, we're not going to be selling games at $80 is a bid to try and garner some positive feedback after laying off, what, more than 10,000 people?
Yeah.
Yeah, right around 15,000 people.
Yeah.
That's not a crazy thought. Yeah.
And saying, hey, through the holidays, because then that incentivizes people to be like, oh, maybe I can get this game for child, spouse, significant other, etc., etc. And it's not going to be a big purchase that I need to think about. It's going to be, it's just a little bit more than a normal video game. That's fine.
Yeah, which is insane because the game that they debuted this on was like the worst game to price at $80.
I agree with that.
I like The Outer Worlds. I think it is a good game. It's not the best game I've ever played, but it scratched a certain itch, we'll say. And Outer Worlds 2 may be leagues better. Who knows? But I can't believe I'm saying something like this. It's not worth $80. No, I have said something like that before. It's not worth $80. I don't know how much it's worth, but right now, no one wants to pay $80 for anything.
Richard, you work in video game sales. I'm 100% certain you have said that phrase many a times.
I have. Well, no, that's why I stopped, because yeah. There are certain video games I like, and I'm not going to tell people to spend however much, but there's a good example is a game called Cannon Spike on the Dreamcast. You could beat it in 40 minutes. It's a really good game, but it's really rare. It's $250. I actively tell people not to buy it unless they're completing I'm just buying, completing the Dreamcast collection. It's okay, whatever, buddy. But it's no, it's not worth $80.
But that's collectors.
You're right. Yeah, it is a different market.
Completely different context. I would agree with you. I don't know. The first Outer Worlds, I thought it was solid. The writing was good. Yeah, I thought it was fine RPG with this is what Obsidian does, with really solid writing, really solid characters, and all that. And so it's a sequel to a game that came out 5 years ago or whatever. And the other thing is it's going to be on Game Pass, right? So that's the calculation I think you have to start making. Game Pass is this weird thing where it's not making money, but it feels like it maybe was at one point, but it isn't now. I really have no idea what's going on with Game Pass. Mm-hmm. But if you're going to jack up the price of a game to $80 and it's going to be day and date on Game Pass, which all their games are, then the more you jack up the price, aren't you just incentivizing people subscribing to Game Pass at that point? Mm-hmm. I think you are. Now, the upside to that is, hey, Game Pass subscribers, awesome. But I don't know how many people are just going to be momentary, because that's how I played Indiana Jones. I basically rented it for 2 months, right? So I didn't buy it, but I purchased it, I rented it for 2 months and played it and had a great time, and maybe in the future I'll buy it on sale, and at that point the economics work out, or maybe I buy it, the price ends up being right where it would have been had I bought it new initially, or a little bit more, I don't know. But I think that's the calculus you have to make as Microsoft, and maybe that's the thing with Game Pass becoming not as profitable. Maybe they decide, if we drive people away from buying the game, we're going to drive them into Game Pass, but then how many of those people are just going to leave Game Pass?
Right.
So I think it really comes out in the wash, because how many games do you think the average person buys?
Oh geez, I have no idea.
I would say probably
4.
I would say that's on the high end.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm talking everyone. So even the casual gamers that just play Madden or just play FIFA.
If you averaged out everyone that plays games, maybe 2 or 3.
Yeah, and so 2 or 3. All right. We'll just split it right down the middle, 2.5. All right. So that's at $80. That's
2 games and 1 on sale.
Yeah. Yeah. Sure. That's math. $200. Right. $10 a month. Or if you're paying for a little bit more premium with on the PC side or the Xbox side, $15 a month, $20 a month. It starts to even out
if they stay subscribed.
And the price is that low, the $10 a month, even the $20 a month, people will overlook.
And the other, but I guess the other issue is that I don't know if the economics work out, because you have to retain people on Xbox Game Pass to make money, right? But then it costs money to operate Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
So the whole point of retention is that if you get 10 million people signing up for Xbox Game Pass in a month, that's amazing. But that whatever it costs to run Xbox Game Pass for a year.
Yeah.
Right. That won't matter if the 10 million people who signed up in a month doesn't make that cut. Right.
Right.
So it's like you need to retain
because they're
them.
not only relying on Game Pass, because they are still making video game sales. So it's an additional supplement of this is going to be continuous income month over month from this group of people.
That's assuming that they retain them.
Yeah. Well, there will be people that stay on month after month. Some people, just forget to cancel their Game Pass.
Yeah, and we've had this discussion that all exists.
And those people exist, and people that will have Game Pass and purchase a game, and then the people that just purchase no Game Pass. So I think in that grouping of three, it really evens out.
I don't know, maybe. I feel like, I don't know.
We'll get Phil Spencer on the line.
I guess I'm more skeptical. Because I think the higher you make a game, the more... I don't know. I feel like you're more liable to get to people like me, who it's like, I'll just unsubscribe from Xbox Game Pass after 2 months.
Yeah.
I can do that. And I think there are a lot of people like me, but I base that on absolutely nothing.
There's also a lot of people who know how to... They know how to turn something on, but they don't know how to turn something off.
That's Connor's argument.
No, and these companies do make it increasingly difficult to cancel your subscriptions.
Yeah. So this may have nothing to do with Xbox Game Pass.
Yeah.
It may be an easy PR win.
Yeah.
I don't know. It may be
it shouldn't have been a win in the first place. It should have been a nothing.
That's true. Yeah.
Maybe that was the long con the entire time.
Maybe.
And
they set it up really high, and then they knock it down when they need a win.
To make it feel like $70 is now cheaper.
Yeah,
that's some real conspiracy theory bullshit right there. That's like the old Call of Duty's 200 gigs, so it fills up your hard drive and you can't put anything else on there.
Do you know why it was 200 gigs?
I think you told me why.
Because it has the front end for the other games, right?
No.
Oh,
because I had uncompressed audio files.
Oh, right. Okay.
That sounds about right.
Well, I know that's a big
So
problem.
stupid.
Is that they don't allow these guys to compress stuff, and people don't know how anymore, to compress all the files or something.
Well,
that's what I'm.
Yeah. Yes, but no. There's ways that people that you can just compress things pretty easily, but it's the compressing the things that need to be compressed correctly each and every time. Mm-hmm. That's the tricky part.
I think the audio from the last Call of Duty was shoot the levers, shoot the hinges. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that before. Mm-mm. That old video of I think it was the first Black Ops or something where it's on YouTube. It's like a semi-famous video, and the guy stops and he's filming his TV with their phone, and the hinges on a door are flashing. On the screen is the words "shoot the hinges," and then one of their teammates is just standing there next to the door going, "Shoot the hinges, shoot the hinges," and they're just running around, just so all these things are just blaring. Shoot the hinges. Anyway, so that's what happened. And they're we got to tell these people to shoot the goddamn hinges, and it's 100 gigabyte file of some MP4 of a pristine guy saying shoot the hinges. So this may have nothing to do with Xbox Game Pass. But Richard, I want to sort of touch on what you mentioned, because there is a difference between how much a game is worth from an abstract standpoint.
Of course,
we've had that discussion. Versus should games cost $80? I don't know. My argument is, if budgets are getting so high that they need to cost $80 to make a profit,
and drop 3 executives,
we've got to figure out something else to do. Mm-hmm. Because I don't know, if
your game has 6 executive producers,
that is unsustainable. Not only from a people can't buy it standpoint, but also if budgets keep going up, eventually it will be impossible to turn a profit. If you're if GTA 6 really does have $1 billion budget, GTA 6 sure may make that money back, but there is only one game that will ever be able to do that, and it will be GTA 6. No other game will ever do it. So it's you can't keep going up. There's only one other direction to go. Sustainability is a real big buzzword right now. Every GameDeveloper.com story has sustainability in it somewhere, which is good. So it's that's what we should be aiming for. So that's the other half of the $80 discussion. Mm-hmm. You gonna say? Yeah,
and that's something not just sustainability, but development costs need to come down, and that's something that Nintendo has finally realized, apparently, because they just came out and said that they need to make smaller games, but in faster times. And I hope that they start doing that because if anyone can do it, it's them.
Yeah. What was how? I know I've asked you this before, but like the budget for small like I don't know like Game Boy Advance games and stuff like that, or PlayStation PSP games.
Oh, that's a good question.
Like that the budgets couldn't have been anywhere near full scale games, right?
No, absolutely not. But I mean, like Game Boy Advance is kind of this funny thing because Game Boy Advance had a lot of ports from Super Nintendo. But they had a lot of original games too. But
I guess the point I'm making is like we used to have these other markets. We used to have a handheld market, right?
Yeah.
And we kind of don't anymore.
We're back, baby.
We kind of do, kind of don't.
No, yeah.
But it's like because the Switch is a handheld console. I don't know. Maybe this is a dumb question to ask, but like we don't have a handheld market, but we kind of do because the Switch and partially because of like the Steam Deck and stuff like that. So if you were to make PSP games today, like that sort of budget, that sort of style, that sort of scope, would that work? Now, maybe people are already doing that, like
it's called indie games.
Yeah, I was going to say, maybe that is what we're talking about, but they're not being published by your Nintendos and by your Sonys.
And they're not getting, you know, the recognition they are because the general public who goes, games aren't the same anymore, man. They don't make good games anymore, and they're the ones who play Call of Duty and Madden and NBA.
There's that beautiful cynicism of yours.
It's not cynicism when it's the truth.
I know.
They hated them because they spoke the truth.
But it's, yeah.
Why are you booing me? I'm right.
But it's also crazy because it's like Nintendo, you know, I'll use the phrase Nintendo can get away with it, but it's, I don't know if it's getting away with it when the public is telling them what they want. Like Mario Kart World, sure, maybe $80. It's selling very well. Granted, it's paired with the Switch too a lot of times.
Yeah.
But then again, you look at Mario Kart 8, just a port of a 2013 game that has stayed at $50, $60 for the last 8 years.
Insane.
And has sold over 50 million copies.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like the public has decided what they want. Zelda Breath of the Wild is still $50 and now $80. You know, depending on which version you bought. But the thing is, people are still playing Breath of the Wild to this day. Like they may have played the crap out of Tears of the Kingdom, but they probably said, I'm going to go back to Breath of the Wild, and then going back to Breath of the Wild. So
the superior Zelda game.
Yeah, yes, because people want to play, because Nintendo knows what they're doing. That's plain and simply what it is. These guys, Microsoft more than any of them, don't know what they're doing. And I don't know if it's not knowing what they're doing, but like sure Spencer may be the head of Xbox, but he's not the head of Microsoft.
No, and they answer to Microsoft.
Yes, and the guy at Microsoft has already shown what he's about. So it's gonna
all day.
Yeah, and it's going to hurt Xbox's brand.
Yes. I wanted to bring something up because you're mentioning Nintendo. So Joost van Drunen.
That's my favorite Belmont.
He's a market analyst. I think he taught at NYU. He has a Substack Super Juiced playlist. It's very good. It's JOST.
Look, darling, an educated man.
But he just wrote in his most recent Substack, he looked at Nintendo's headcount versus like American companies' headcount. And Nintendo's headcount has stabilized over the last few years. Yeah. And it's like Nintendo exists in their own world where they do business differently. And they have a ton of problems. We've talked about all this in the past, but you don't hear a lot about Nintendo firing 10 million employees and doing some massive purge. And it's like, and all you hear about is that they retain people and that they seem to give people raises all the time. Now, there's certain labor laws in Japan that changes things, and I'm not an expert on Japanese labor law. But I do think that dichotomy is interesting because, yes, you have companies are making money hand over fist, but Microsoft lays off a bunch of people. Nintendo, who just went through a couple years where it was just the Switch is dying and dying and dying and dying, and they were sort of crawling to the Switch 2. And it's like you didn't hear about them, cutting off their arms to save the rest of their business or something like that. And here we are, Switch 2, and they're right back in the game, and they have a whole new future ahead of them, you know, with the new console. But yeah. Is there anything else you guys would like to say? I hope Outer Worlds 2 is good.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it is good too. But
yeah, and I'm happy that they got a price cut. But
and to be quite honest, like in the future, I don't think there's any game that'll be worth $80. Unless inflation gets really bad. Yeah. And I mean, and the closest thing I could say it would be $80 is unfortunately Grand Theft Auto 6. But even then, like, you're going to have to give me a lot of, no, not even, I don't know. It's going to have to be a phenomenal experience. Despite how I feel at the end of the day about it, I mean, Red Dead 2 is $80 maybe.
Yeah, this is the discussion that we've had before,
of course.
And we'll keep having for the rest of our lives. Okay, let's do tidbits. What if I told you, in this world, there are bits, and there are tids, and Richard is the only man who can put them together into tidbits?
Where are my tidbits? Hold on. Okay.
Show your bits.
Sony has filed a lawsuit against Tencent for allegedly ripping off the Horizon series. The lawsuit alleges that Light of Moratum, I think that's how you say it, features...
maybe?
Oh, yeah, maybe. Features identical gameplay, story, and themes, as well as artistic elements of the Horizon series. GameSpot is reporting that per the lawsuit, Tencent came to Sony with the intention of licensing the Horizon franchise, and Sony said no. So Tencent went.
This is really just
okay. Well,
they had their
they had their StarCraft Warhammer moment.
Oh, I was thinking they had their Silicon Valley moment. In other news, Tencent hires Elizabeth Holmes. First they call you stupid, then you make a Horizon knockoff clone, then you change the world. Sorry,
I haven't seen like gameplay or anything, but I did see the like
the side-by-side
banner of the game, and I was like, holy shit.
There was a screenshot. I'm looking at a screenshot right now. Here, I know you can't see it.
Light of more.
Look at this screenshot right here. I thought that was Horizon for a second.
Yeah.
And that's not. That's the other game though. So it's like the aesthetic, which is too bad because robot dinosaurs, fun idea. Yeah. Take it, run with it.
Awesome idea.
You know, but just
it's been a great idea since fucking Power Rangers.
Yeah. But don't copy. Don't just straight up copy Horizon. And the thing with Power World was, yeah, it was like some of the designs. It was like, come on, like do something a little different here. But I didn't think Power World was too egregious. This maybe a little different. This is like even the protagonist or whatever.
Yeah, whoever.
I'm not sure if this is the protagonist, but she has red hair. She clearly, like, if it was her by herself, it'd be like, okay, that's shameless. But when you see everything else, it's more than shameless. It's kind of ridiculous.
Speaking of Tencent and Power World, there was some gameplay for Pokemon ZA that was hidden on the Japanese website that people were able to pull out. And someone is mentioning that they, when they posted it, they like requoted it. And they're like, oh, now I know why Nintendo went for this lawsuit. Because the gameplay of Pokemon ZA...
They have guns.
Looks very... I wish. But like some of the systems look exactly like Power World or vice versa.
Interesting.
So... So yeah, I don't know, but this is the last one, and this one is also quick. Bandai Namco and Sony have signed a strategic partnership to promote anime, manga, and video games. Sony will acquire 2.5% of Bandai Namco shares. The collaboration is aimed at strengthening engagement among anime and manga fans.
Really? Yep. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, but you know, this is if Sony wants to carve more of their niche, Japanese audience. Which is they've always been Japanese audience, obviously, but like Microsoft has been really trying, and Sony is kind of just going like
they've never been super successful into breaking into Japan, right?
That's strangely enough, the weirdest, the strongest they ever got was the 360, which was home to a lot of shoot 'em up games, like the spaceship, like the really hardcore shooters. Very strange.
Yeah, shmups. Okay, well. That's all tidbits. Follow us, youtube.com/gamingdiscourse, patreon.com/thegamingdiscourse, and we will see you next week.
Bye.